having checked, actually the French casualties can be from any division, so I think with that in mind, I don't think Uxbridge is going to be a threat at the moment, as long as I do nothing with Durlon. So I think Lord or Durlon could afford to lose a casualty. It does mean La Haye-Saint is probably safe, but at the moment my best chances are on the other flank and just trying to hold off the Prussians. So Durlon is going to lose the casualty, and again the French are now down to morale, requiring rout tests, but again morale level is at 9. They've got nothing to worry about at the moment. Now, because we have 10 casualty markers on the table, the time shifts forward to the afternoon, and that will now add a +1 to all rout tests going forward. So this sort of speeds the game up, and of course it's potentially going to bring the game to a close that bit quicker from that point of view as well. So let's move over to the French, as the bot has done very well there, and I think it's time to launch the guard into Plancenoit, if we're allowed to. It doesn't look like we are. That would normally be Orange or Hill, as historically they went up the slopes and tried to break the line at the end, but so it will be Lebeau again, and I think at this stage we'll just do a general attack with him as opposed to using Napoleon, and let's see if we can soften up those Prussians a little bit more. Okay, that's a 4, which is 1 French casualty and 2 Prussian casualties. So it's good for Lebeau. Not so good for the Allies, although it doesn't affect their morale, and the French casualties, no morale test because the morale is still quite high for the French at the moment. So I think we'll move over to the bot and see what it can do next. We are over to Blucher again, but obviously with different options this time, and a 5, and you or put 2 more on that because we've got 2 counters on the table at the moment. That's a 7. A 7 plus is 1 French casualty and 1 French morale marker. So the tide is definitely starting to turn. I think we'll take that off my Lord. At the moment, luckily the rout tests are not applicable, but we are starting to feel the pain a little bit on that side. And I think with that in mind, I am going to launch the guard, and I'm going to do that with Napoleon. I'm going to absolutely launch everything, the kitchen sink and all, and I think we're going to launch at Orange with the guard because they're weak, and because we're using Napoleon, we can use 2 dice rolls and pick the one we want, unless we get a ney cavalry charge result, which I'm not sure that we will at this stage. So we turn over Napoleon, he's used, and we've got 2 rolls on the guard table, and as you can see there again, quite a few different things could happen with that. There is also some modifiers, +1 modifier on the dice roll if La Haye-Saint captured, +1 if the Darov Hougomont's captured. So let's see what we get. We've got a 3 or a 2, so it'll have to be a 3, which is 2 Allied casualties, 1 French casualty, 1 French morale. Okay, so the French are still fine as far as their rout test is concerned, but the Allies, likewise at the moment with a 6, look to be okay. But I just want to check what the situation is now that Orange's corps has been destroyed. Okay, so interestingly, the Allies will lose an extra morale marker for losing the division, and now they have to do a route test, and they do not want a 6. They don't, so they continue, and we'll see what the bot wants to do next. The bot is going to do the reserve division, and it's going to use action 1, which is ignore Allied casualty morale losses of the French last action, and you can, in other words, removing a reserve division. So in effect, you would put Orange's division back, and you would take 1 from the Allied reserves onto here, and this would avoid a morale check and a morale loss. So it keeps the Allies in better fettle than they were, but they have used some of their reserves, and it's over to the French. And let's see what we're going to do next. I think we're going to send in Rail to attack Hill and see if we can do any damage to him. We've got a 6. That's Hougoumont captured, which is great news. We have to turn the card, and as a result of Hougoumont being captured, we will now do a re-roll on that dice and see what we get. Okay. We rolled a 1, which is 1 French casualty. Not so good from that point of view. But still at the moment, although we've got +1 to morale checks and a +1 there, so that's a +2, we're on 7. That would take us down to 5, so if we roll a 6, the French have decided to vacate the field. No, they get a 5, they just survive. So things are starting to get a bit twitchy for both sides. Let's see what the bot wants to do. The bot will be taking reserve action number 2, which is cancel capture of La Haye-Sainte only if captured in the French last turn. 1 Allied casualty, move 1 reserve to the casualty track. So again, it's a very similar thing to before. There were no Allied casualties, so therefore in effect there's no action on this reserve action.